Ladies and gentlemen, Side Strafe back with some more World of Tanks, and today we're going to be covering a few replays from over the weekend. We're starting things out with the German Tiger Tier 7 heavy tank, and you might notice that I actually have some new sound effects in game. I've got Gnome Father's engine sound pack as well as his gun sound modification loaded up. I'll have some links in the description below if you're interested in checking those out. They really add some great detail to the sounds within this game, because that is the one thing that Wargaming has always failed to perfect within this title. Each tank has its own individual sound pack for engines and gunfire, and it's absolutely fantastic. Not perfect. Could use some work in some areas, and in some cases some people are reporting performance issues, but I find if you lower the volume to certain areas, to a certain level, you should be alright with it. But anyways, back to the game at hand here. We're just trying to maintain some long-range fire support with the Tiger 1, dealing with a T-29 at range. Not usually a good idea. Remember, we're an extremely boxy, flat tank, and can generally be penetrated from multiple angles. So you're very much a sniper heavy. And here I'm just trying to take a look at the minimap and think about what we're dealing with. I'm trying to get into a side scrape position here, as you can see the way I'm angling myself. Looking down the line, there's a VK. Waiting for him to perhaps pop out, but I take a hit there. Not sure from what. Throw one out at the VK and then go into retreat. Maybe it was the Jagdpanther in position. Couldn't really tell, but it seemed to come from an invisible target. You can see there that, yep, it does look like it might have been the Jagdpanther. That actually went through my gun mantlet. So, as most of you know, the Tiger can't really take a hit anywhere unless you're properly angled or side scraping. So you just have to stay back and snipe with your extremely accurate gun. Now here we've got our two KV-1Ss dealing with threats, and I'm obviously not going to join them. I'm thinking about perhaps flanking the enemy here. There's the Sherman. Boom! Right into the center of his hull. And there's a Type. Can we get a shot out at him? Nope, not reloading in time. And I'm thinking, you know what, let's look at this VK. Shot out, not doing well against me, but one goes right into him. Now we've got a 25 AT. Slams us good there, but we pay him back. There's a VK. Shot out on my angle. We're going to come around. He decides for some reason to look the other direction as he is getting flanked by that KV-1S. There's still the T-29 and Jagdpanther. And now we've got a Black Prince here to back us up. Slow, but lots of armor. We're going to throw a shot out into the back of the T-29, trying to track him. It didn't actually work, but it did damage him. I'm thinking, you know what? Typical tactic would be to play the peekaboo game and just try to engage him, but we know that he has an insanely effective turret. You don't want to deal with most American tanks in hull-down positions. They are known for turret armor, and the T-29 is a prime example of that. So, you know what? I say I'm going to take some extra time to flank while the Black Prince engages in a slugfest. Because the Black Prince has lots of armor, and that's what he's built to do. Brawl. Jagdpanther not expecting me on this flank here. It's going to be tough for him to turn around. He's got no turret, and he's done. Black Prince actually finishing him off. Now we have the T-29 who has his front towards us, interestingly enough, which might have been a good idea, but there's another shot right into a prime weak spot, that machine gun at the front of the hull. It looked like we were going to lose the city, but the Black Prince and I managed to bring it back. There it is. So now we're just worried about the rest. It's 10-9 in regards to score. There's an AT2. We know he's got some stubborn armor. Weak 6-pounder gun, but he's got that rate of fire. I was a little overconfident at this point. As you see, I'm about to take some damage, and I start to get a little worried about that. We're already near half, and quite a few left. Taking some more smacks. I didn't actually see where that one came from. See the shots just continuing to ring in. There's another one. Ow, 2 right there in succession. That's bad. I'm like, okay, I'm a one-shot to a larger tank, and then the A2 can whittle me down if I'm not careful. So I'm thinking it's time to just hide behind this building and enjoy the architecture. Taking a peek out here, looking at that Tiger, waiting for him to make a mistake. You can see the tracer fire along the lake here. Worried a little bit about that AT2. I think I might have a shot. He's forgotten about me, and he's done. Right into the side there. There's that Tiger. Is he going to make a mistake as he comes out? 254. He's aware now, and he's coming out to look at me. I saw his turret move around, and I went to take a snapshot, but I pulled back at the same time, hitting the building in front of me. I was worried about getting hit. I know that he could have one-shot me, and I wasn't going to deal with that, so I just backed up immediately there. But you can see that we've already got the top gun for this game, and we're just worried about taking out that Tiger safely. There's also a Hellcat moving in to assist, and there we go. Nice accurate shot. Loving the new sound effects as well. Hellcat 236. He's a one-shot to anybody. And who's going to grab it? The Black Prince taking it. Let's go ahead and look at some of the stats. That was one that started out a little rough, but we managed to bring it back in the city fight. And I think just flanking was the key there. You saw we went around that T-29. And the T-29 was actually doing something kind of smart. He had the rear of his armor protected by a wreck. But then he had his front armor facing the other direction in case somebody was to come around him. He would at least have better armor up front. However, we know that American tanks don't have great hull armor. There's a lot of weak spots. It's generally easy to penetrate even without those weak spots. But I kept aiming for the machine gun port anyway, and we were able to finish him. It was just bad luck for him. I think he had thought that the Jagdpanther might cover his 6 for longer, and maybe he didn't expect me to actually just go around. But you never want to deal with that kind of tank in its hull down position. He wants you to engage like that. But you can see how many rounds we threw out here. I'm going to go to the next page and see that we did 3,021 damage, grabbing 7 kills there, which doesn't happen for me often, but when it does, it's oh so sweet. You know, good job the Black Prince and the rest of the people on my team that managed to carry it a bit there. That Black Prince, the gun is not my favorite thing about it, especially when you're in the lower tier, but it has some insane armor, and I knew that he could win in a brawl against the T-29 if he wanted to just outlast him. And then here we've got some more detailed statistics. 18 shots fired, 15 of which were direct hits, and then 15, of course, penetrations. So direct hits 15 pens, not bad, but also a good tiering and a pretty decent matchup for us there. So let's go ahead and take a look at the next one. All right, and our next matchup, of course, featuring the AT-8 British Tier 6 tank destroyer. This thing is basically a mobile bunker, as you'll soon see. However, as you may also notice, we have an M3 Lee who is already complaining as the game has not even begun. He's pretty much in the mindset that this game is over because we are not communicating with him and that we're not talking tactics. Well, welcome to World of Tanks and enjoying a pub match. So, as you can see here, he's already given up. I'm just going to go up the middle, he says. He decides to take one of the worst routes in one of the worst tanks. He just wants to go straight up the swamp line, which, as most of you know, is rough terrain, which is actually going to slow you down a bit. There he goes in the wedding cake. He's given up on life. That is it. I'm glad I do not know you in reality. So, I'm trying to see if I can get a shot off on this PZ-38. No dice. He has lit up at least a Hetzer. One shot out, but it's a miss, unfortunately. The AT-8 has a really good rate of fire. Decent penetration. But more than anything, this is an assault tank, as the name implies, and it's all about the armor. 200 millimeters at the front and 100s on the side and rear. However, you're only going to do 20 kilometers an hour, so it is painfully slow. You have to pick a direction and stick to it. As you'll see in this replay, mobility is definitely my problem. And my thought process here was like, okay, let's try to get to some of the typical tank destroyer locations. And I've had some luck with this spot in the past. Just trying to pull up. No eyes on that Hellcat. We've got two mediums trying to deal with him. They're looking to grab some attention, but I'm obviously not going to try to get up the hill with this beast. So I'm just going to hold the line. I see that they've got a Hellcat trying to flank them, but we're in a proper position here. It looks like an unupgraded Hellcat, but we make short work of him. And you can hear the artillery with the new sound effects just flying overhead. And now we're just holding here, idling, trying to turn around. You can see that rotation speed is really bad as we're trying to focus on this Hetzer. Going for a lead shot, just missing, maybe going right over him. And then another shot out late, but they managed to take care of him at base. So with the score at 7 and 8, I'm thinking, okay, well, this is either going to go one of two ways. And I'm in a position to watch over a couple of different angles. I can't watch all the way down to the west. That's going to be out of my view range, and that's a problem that I have. There's an M37. I think he's just trying to retreat or maybe reposition himself. I'm not sure what he was thinking there, but he's just zooming out there. I think maybe our artillery is working on trying to get some shots, maybe predict his movement. And now it's just down to camping, holding this line. I've got binoculars, but I don't have a camo net, as I do consider this more of an assault tank. Generally, it's best used breaking lines or defending bottlenecks, so I don't really utilize camouflage a lot with it, but here camo would have definitely come in handy, although I don't think I need it too much. There's a great silhouette. You like to see the wedding cake, we call it, for obvious reason. Multiple tiers of turrets. It's a giant target, hard to miss, as you can see there. One of my favorite things to shoot at. This guy's still complaining in the chat. He wants his Lee back. I'll tell you one thing, ladies and gentlemen, that is the one tank that I never wanted back. I hated that thing. Maybe that's why he's so disgruntled, because he has to drive that hideous monstrosity. So now it's one of these games that's like, okay, well, they got us beat by a tank so far, and is this going to be the waiting game? Is it going to be a draw? You know, am I going to have to push forward in my slow assault tank? Just hear that arty slamming across the long range. And I'm going to push up just a little bit to maybe try to get some more range here on the battlefield, just in case they try to push across the other side. You can see there's a tank destroyer on the other coast, and really I can't see over there. That's just too far out. We're losing units there. Another 2 down. Now this is where I get really nervous, because it's me, a Hellcat, and 2 pieces of artillery, and they've got a full complement of vehicles that are at full health. So I'm thinking, I mean, this is just over. This is a bad game. The guy in the Lee is just gonna be right, and we're gonna lose this. And if anything, you hate to see that. You know, when somebody on your team thinks that your team is gonna lose and has a bad attitude, you really want to prove them wrong. But maybe here's a chance to do that. There's an M4 who, for some reason, thought it would be a good idea to just drive out in the middle of the open. He's already at half health. They put another round into him, which also takes his track. Done, right into the side. And there's the M37 artillery piece. What is he thinking? Driving out there, we lead the target. smashing his face in. I'm not sure what the thought process was there. I don't know what possessed those vehicles to move out into the open like that. I've replayed it in my head, and I can't figure it out. Maybe they thought, you know what? Let's just go scout and take these guys out. We've got this game. I'm not sure what happened there. So I'm thinking, okay, well, there's no way the rest of the team is that stupid. So there, and I'm like, wait a second. Hold that thought. KV2, full health, decides, hey, I'm going to run out in the middle of the field here. But I've got rate of fire. And remember when I spoke about alpha damage versus rate of fire? Here's where rate of fire is king. Because I can continue to track him, damage, track, damage, track, damage, or track and damage, depending on where you manage to hit and what type of tank you're dealing with. KV2 knows he's getting hit from the side, but it just doesn't matter because he can't see me. I'm invisible. Shot out. Another one just went a little low there. Was trying to go for that center. Boom. Done. Again, what possessed him to move out there by himself? What possessed him to move out there as the third tank? Why didn't they all move? If they were going to do the charge, at least everybody do it at the same time. But they did it almost one by one, single file, and then the KV2 showed up late. It's like somebody said, all right, let's just all charge, and they just did it at different speeds. They obviously didn't get the memo on how to properly take care of that. And then behind me, we can see we've actually got the Sturmpanzer moving up and getting a position here to perhaps get some more angles on targets. And then in the back, we've got the M37. So it's just me and Artie. And now I'm thinking, okay, there can't possibly be any more idiots on their team. I have to do something. Well, what am I going to have to do? So I'm kind of, you can see that I'm moving around here. I'm getting a little antsy. I'm thinking, 5 minutes left. Now it's just me and Artie, which means it's always up to me to do something. What am I going to do? I'm so slow. I either have to attack their base and try to light them up, or they're going to attack our base, and I'm going to have to try to get back there. So this period of time here, it's just me thinking. It was really difficult for me because I felt like this game for me personally was going pretty well. And I didn't want to muck it up, so I didn't want to make the wrong decision. And I felt that with that grill still up on their team and a tank destroyer, it was going to be really hard for me to press their defenses. So I'm still just kind of waiting a little bit longer to see if they mess up. I'm waiting to see if they're going to make a movement, because I don't want to be the one to attack. Even though I've got a lot of armor, I do have some critical weak spots. The cupola here and these machine guns on the top of this vehicle are weak. And everybody knows it. And most people generally aim for that. However, there's now an enemy TD at our base. And I'm flipping around here. I have no choice but to head back. We lose... Actually, we take out the Su-85 via the M37. He's moving in and gets destroyed in the process. Now it's up to me. I say here in the chat, I'm super slow, but here goes. And I'm thinking, am I even going to be able to spot in time? You know, how many of them drove back? Did all three of them drive over the other cap? I mean, if it's more than one, then yeah, you can see this thing is at least 2 tanks, I believe, capping at this speed. I'm like, oh man, we're going to lose to a capture. And luckily enough, we managed to spot. I'm holding position here, aiming. KV1, there's another smack. I'm thinking, okay, now we need to hit the other guy to stop his cap. Boom. Done. So we've reset the cap. Shots in. There's armor bouncing. Another one out. Amazing rate of fire here by the AT-8. You can see there where the shots are bouncing. We've taken a pen there, though, from one angle. It might have been the artillery. Not sure. They do have high ground on me, so it could be coming in from an angle. Now there's the KV-1. And at this point, I do not have gun elevation, so I have to move to a good position here. Shot to the side, but it's bouncing. I really don't have a good angle on him. I'm getting hit by this grill, and at this point, I'm just panicking, so I forget to heal my loader. I have a health pack. I forget to use it because I'm in a panic state now. Shots bouncing off my armor. I don't know that the KV-1 knows where to aim. Still bouncing shots. Rounds coming in from the Sturmpanzer. I'm just trying to fire in on him. Hopefully trying to get to that hull. There's another shot in. I'm taking some damage now. This isn't looking good. Shot to the center hull of the KV-1, aiming for his weak spot, hopefully trying to get that driver hatch. I'm bouncing left and right here. I've gone through a couple premium rounds. Shots at bouncing off of that annoying front of the KV. He's just running into me, and I'm saved by the grill, but perhaps taking a little bit of splash damage there. He manages to finish off the KV-1. I'm also tracked. I'm freaking out at this point. Like, oh my goodness. You can see the amount of shots that have bounced off of my insane frontal armor. But you can see the ones that have hit from perhaps artillery or elevated firing positions. The grill is still trying to open up on me. And I'm like, okay, we only got 1:45 left. I don't even think we have time to cap. Yeah, I can't make it to their base in time. I only do 20 kph. This is ridiculous. So is it going to be a draw? I'm looking at my arty. Well, he's kind of moving back. Maybe he can cap. I just don't think there's enough time. And I'm saying in chat, way too slow, but there's the grill. Right off. I'm like, oh no, I'm a one shot. It's over. It is over. Oh, and somehow I survive. A reaction shot goes out, does nothing. I'm freaking out here. Boom. Sets him on fire. And he's done. Oh my goodness for the Top Gun. Let's take a look at the stats. Oh, that one was just a bag of crazy. Even watching the replay has me on edge. I mean, it was just intense. There was a lot of time there where I wasn't sure of what to do. Did I need to go hit their base? Did I need to just stay put? Did I need to go back and defend? And luckily enough, for the most part, I was dealing with a bad enemy force. They made some critical mistakes. Had they all charged together, maybe they would have had more success. Had they maybe come down the other line, you know, had they approached from the extreme flank, you know, I don't think I would have been able to deal with all of them. But you can see here we were well rewarded for that battle. Lots of damage and assistance out there. And taking a look at the next page, you can see we did 2,355 total damage for 6 kills in the Top Gun. The Sturmpanzer, the artillery in general, just doing a decent job towards the end there. The Sturmpanzer obviously helped me out. He took the KV-1. I just kept bouncing. I'd gone through some premium shells to help grab him, but that's what the KV-1 is about. It does have some annoying frontal armor at times. And the AT-8 can have some issues with tanks, although generally it has good penetration there. So we've got 31 shots fired, 24 of which were direct hits, 19 penetrations, and potential damage received 3,270. We got 2 enemies spotted. Plenty of damage all across the board, and, you know, not really making out like a bandit credit-wise, but it, you know, it was that kind of game. I had to go through a lot of ammo, and then I went through some premium rounds, so that's where some of the expense went. And that was just that was a game that started out with bad attitudes. We had an M3 Lee who was just complaining at the beginning of the game before the timer was even up. He was ranting, and I don't know. He must have just woke up on the wrong side of the bed. But if you go in with a bad attitude, more often than not, you're going to end up with a loss, or at least a personal defeat, while the rest of your team just carries you. You know, being negative at the start just because nobody's talking to you, or maybe you run into a lemming train, or whatever other reason, you can't let that affect you. Go in there and play. At least play for yourself if you feel that the team is not going to hold up their end of the map. You know, just go in there and fight to the best of your ability and maintain a positive attitude, because who knows, that might be the game where you come out on top. You were the main carry asset, and you have nothing but an awesome score at the end. You have a nice screenshot or replay to show off, and you've earned you know, a reputation. But you know, there's people out there that just at the start of the game, within the first 5 seconds, it's over, I give up, we're done. And you know what? Most of those people, I've been waiting to rant about this for some time now, are those individuals that use that XVM modification. And while XVM does some good, the ability to create damage meters and things like that, I'm okay with that stuff, but I'm not okay with being able to see the stats of other players. I don't think it should show the win ratio of an individual. I don't think it should show the win-loss percentage chance of every match, and here is why. Because it's affecting people psychologically. It is discouraging some individuals into thinking, well, XVM says we have a low percentage chance to win. This game is over. I give up. They've already surrendered themselves. And the worst ones will usually suicide at the start of the game. You ever see a guy just drive off into the lake? Well, it's over. Peace out. I'm going back to the garage to play my other tank. He's given up because XVM said you have a percentage chance to lose this. And it shows that his team maybe has red players or negative ratio players on his team. So he's given up. He drives off into the lake. Or maybe you see some high tier tank just drive in the middle of the open. They want to get the match over with as soon as possible. Maybe they're not even saying anything in chat, but they just drive off and you wonder, what the heck is this person doing? Why is that person just driving into the open getting destroyed within the first minute? It's because they haven't told you, but they've got XVM installed and they've seen this percentage chance that says they're going to lose. So instead of dealing with it for 10-15 minutes, they'd rather just off themselves and get back to the garage and play another tank. Happens all the time, and many of you aren't realizing it, which is why I don't agree with XVM in that capacity. For its other features, sure, it's fine, but to see other people's stats, no. Maybe you're thinking, well, it helps me know who the best players are so I can be better against them. You should pretend that all of your enemy are a potential threat. You should pretend that the entire team is a major and lethal threat to you. That way you're going to always play at your best 100% of the time. That's how you should look at it. Again, it's all psychological, and people always underestimate psychology in video games. You've got to look at those aspects. If you think everybody else on the enemy team is good, then you're going to play better and you're going to play at your best. Play at these things like it's a tournament, like money's on the line. Just go for it. I'm not saying that you have to take it so super seriously that you're stressing out over it, but challenge yourself. Don't use XVM to say, oh, this guy's terrible, I'm going to rush him, or this guy's amazing, I'm going to stay back. Do what you would do in a real-life situation. Imagine if you were a real-life tanker. You don't have symbols or percentage ratios floating over the enemy tank. You're just like, well, that's a tank. I don't want to die. I got to play like my life depends on it. That's how I treat this game, and that's why I don't want to know those things. I've used XVM, and I've seen how it works, and I think it's just ridiculous that people rely on it too much. Maybe you see some top tanker, maybe some live streamer or YouTuber out there that uses it, and you know, perhaps there's some pro and they really greatly affect your decisions in your gaming life. Well, you know what? You're not them. Don't do what that person does, because maybe they're making the wrong decisions for you. Maybe they're right for them, but maybe they're not for you. And that can be said for anyone, even myself. You know, be an individual. Play the tanks that you want to play, not the ones that I play or the ones that I'm good at. Maybe I'm great at British tanks, but maybe you're inherently not. Maybe you're great at Russian tanks and I'm not. You know, that it works both ways. So in regards to XVM, you know, for those of you that are going to continue to use it, that's fine, but don't let it negatively impact your play style. Don't give up on a team because XVM said you're going to lose, or because it shows a lot of bad players on your side. Use it as an excuse to do well and carry and just end up with a reputation at the end of the day. That's what I've got to say about that, because again, I refuse to use those aspects of XVM. I'm fine with, you know, damage meters. I've even looked into maybe getting something like that for myself, or maybe some other map modification or something that might just be a little bit helpful, or things that I think should already exist within the game. But I'm just saying, I'm just tired of seeing people drive off into a lake or suicide or give up on us because some stupid mod told them we were going to lose. You know, I've had enough of it. And quite frankly, in some instances, I almost think that those kinds of things should be illegal, and I really wish Wargaming would put their foot down on certain mods, because there are some things that are just unacceptable. I'm a big modder at heart. You know, I grew up with mods in video games, and I'm cool with most of them, but there are some that I think cross the line, And XVM is one of those that starts to cross the line in some areas. That's all I have to say really about that. It's no offense to people using it, no disrespect. I'm just saying I don't agree with being able to see stats because I think it affects people in negative ways, and you should treat everyone as a potential threat. So that was a little long-winded, but I've been actually meaning to discuss the whole XVM scenario for some time now. Please use your best judgment when looking at that kind of stuff. Play to the best of your ability all the time, regardless of what some code tells you, okay? Just leave it at that. But anyways, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you so much for joining me once again. I will definitely see you on the next one.